This Christmas, for the first time, America's most exciting and legendary motion picture hero comes to the screen like you've never seen him before.
The Bat!
In an all-new, larger-than-life feature film. Now, the Dark Knight confronts his newest and most menacing villain.
Your angel of death awaits.
The Phantasm.
I want you.
And faces his greatest danger.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
A soaring new adventure. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. The animated movie. Coming for a Christmas you'll never forget.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Worse. We're going to be reviewing 1993's
Mask of the Phantasm.
Exactly. And
I joke with it, calling it the Mask of the Fantastic. I really like the movie. These guys probably have gotten the gist that I am more on the Mark Hamill as the Joker. Obviously, I mean, he was in his prime then for the role. Probably my favorite parts of this movie. But as an actual movie, I was really surprised to find that it has such a dark tone as it does, and it's very live action like. It's a movie about flashbacks, and it shows like more of a young Bruce Wayne pre-Batman.
It shows him trying to have a life like outside of that, like he almost stops becoming Batman.
And I really enjoyed that part of it, especially all the flashbacks were great. And then I like when it comes back to him as Batman. It felt very satisfying. But Ryan, what do you think?
it's an amazingly well-balanced film. After finishing watching it, I flat out said, hey, that was better than Batman 89. And then you said, well, it's not better than Returns, which Returns is just, I don't even want to compare it, really.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
This film, I like better than, I think, both of the Tim Burton movies put together, honestly.
Oh, wow.
I really, really enjoyed this a lot.
And that just goes to show you, anybody that hasn't seen it, how good it really is. Pretty much the plot, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's, this Phantasm character is pretty much like...
He's taking out, Gotham mobsters, and...
almost replacing Batman in a way, but killing them. Like, that's the feeling I get anyway. And it's not even really about the Mask of the Phantasm. That's what's, really shocked me about this film, is, I'm thinking it's sort of like Batman versus Phantasm, but honestly it ended up being more about Batman versus the Joker. I mean, it sort of did, and so it just kind of has this balance that I didn't expect.
Batman! How'd you get here? Your angel of death awaits.
And this is really a detective story. I mean, this is more of a whodunit mystery thing. I mean, you think throughout the movie it's a bunch of different people. It's a really good murder mystery, and that's, in my opinion, that's one of the best ways you can read Batman as far as comics go. I mean, when it's detective stories, because that's what Batman is a detective. So I mean, I think that really helps out a lot.
But that's all I was expecting. That's all I was expecting while watching it. And then it incorporated a love story I didn't expect, and incorporated a lot more flashbacks than I thought. Because I was thinking, that beginning part might be, this probably be the only flashback. No, it's back and forth throughout. So it's just this story of past Bruce Wayne and present Bruce Wayne. And honestly, it's mostly, it's about the Joker, but it's the main focus that really surprised me was it being about pretty much how he becomes Batman. This woman pretty much almost stopped him from becoming Batman because he wanted to focus on their love, and there's so much realism to it. It's so much real life stuff you wouldn't really expect in an animated film like that.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you were saying. It's much less, well, I was going to say much less corny, but it's not corny at all. It's literally...
It takes itself seriously.
Yeah, it's a very serious,
there is blood and there's violence, and there are sex references and stuff, which is really hilarious. So yeah, it's pretty much an animated film for adults.
And I mean, and like I said, this is one that I grew up with as a child. This was one that I adored as a kid. And I mean, one thing I also like to touch on, I mean, I don't really blame them because they didn't grow up with it. I mean, he did a little bit, but I mean, I adored it as a child. And one thing that I really commend, besides just the film itself, is the animated series and the art style, the way it's drawn. I mean, this thing looks like it's something out of the 1940s. I mean, Art Deco is what they call it. I mean, it was very well done. It was, Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski, those are the two guys that produced the show. They actually, the way they drew that artwork, which was really cool, they used black paper instead of white paper, and that's how they got that dark atmosphere whenever they would, draw the images. That's how they got it to be so dark. And it's a beautiful style, and I love the way it's done. It's been a style that a lot of people have tried to replicate. They can't do in my opinion, it doesn't even touch it. So I mean, it's a really timeless thing. It really does look like it's a show from the 40s. I mean, if you look at the Fleischer Superman cartoon from the 1930s, I mean, they really took a lot of inspiration from that as far as the look of the show and the look of Batman himself. But I mean, like he was saying, this movie has a really dark look to it, and that really, in my opinion, fits Batman. And the look of Gotham itself looks great. I love the look of the way the buildings are and the way the cars are. The cars look like something out of a car show in the 1940s. Those old black and white pictures you see everywhere. I mean, it's just a really beautiful thing. I mean, I can't praise the artwork enough. And I mean, the voice cast. I mean, we didn't even really talk about the cast. I mean, we got Kevin Conroy as Batman, my favorite Batman. And Kevin Conroy, he's been doing the character now for 23 years now. I mean, since even before I was born, back in '92. So I mean, he's been doing it my whole life, and he's still doing it. Dave Delaney as Andrea Beaumont, Mark Hamill as the Joker, Dave Vigoda as Sal Filestro. I mean, all those guys, it's believable. They did a really good job. I really enjoyed it. I mean, in the whole cast in general, they did really good voice work.
Pardon, Master Bruce, but we may want to postpone the shop talk, as it were. I believe you have a visitor.
Hi. Hey, what happened to you? Trip over some loose cash?
Andre Romano, who did, the voice coaching and the voice talent for the show, coached all the voice actors. She knows how to pick her voices, and she knows how to, pick good characters for it. But, I mean, overall, this film, it's a real good movie. I have nothing really wrong with this film. I mean, the only thing is, this movie didn't get enough recognition. This movie had a very low advertising budget. It was supposed to be a direct-to-DVD, but Warner Brothers liked the film so much that they went ahead and gave it.
It was actually a theatrical release.
Yeah. They actually gave it a little more money, and they decided to release it theatrically. But it didn't stay in theaters very long. It was only in theaters within for a couple, not even a month or so, I think. And it wasn't in theaters very long, but it has developed a big following ever since the movie was released, and hopefully one of these days we'll get it on Blu-ray. We didn't get to watch it on Blu-ray, unfortunately, because it's not available. Overall, I have nothing wrong with this film, and I highly recommend the animated series. I mean, I'm sure you Batman fans out there, you guys have watched it, but for those of you that haven't, it's one of the greatest cartoons ever made, not just from a technical standpoint, but from a storytelling standpoint, because it's not a kiddie show. I mean, it still can be for kids. I mean, it's not over the top, but it takes itself seriously, and that's, in my opinion, that's what makes a good show.
This movie, okay? Hear me out. Ben Affleck, you're directing your solo Batman film. I don't see it happening. I don't see really the possibility, but come on. They got a perfect opening here to do a Mask of the Phantasm live-action film. You got the Joker being introduced in Suicide Squad. You can easily bring that in where he's in the movie, in one of the solo movies. It doesn't have to be the first one, but in a new trilogy, possibly. Do Mask
and
of
it's
the
a Batman origin, like an actual origin of his costume self.
There's an idea, guys. There's an idea. A lot of people want Red Hood. I agree with that. It'd be a really cool story, but just do them all. Just do all the really good stories, What comic is Phantasm in, or was that made just for the...
It's based on two comic books that I've read anyway. One that's not necessarily canon anymore. A lot of fans have kicked it to the side. Is Batman Year 2, and a story called Batman Night of the Reaper, that's who the character is based on. And basically, in that story, there's a guy that kind of looks like the Phantasm who is going around killing people. He's kind of like a Grim Reaper character, and that's who inspired the Phantasm. And he's dating, Bruce Wayne happens to be dating his daughter, and that's why in the Mask of the Phantasm film, they make you think that it's Andre and his father who is the Phantasm. That's where that was pulled from. So, I mean, yeah, that was another 70s story by around the time Danny O'Neill and Neil Adams were working on Batman.
Gasp! Can it be? Old Sally, the Weezer Valestra!
Another thing that I feel like we didn't touch on very well, and I don't think got enough credit while we were talking about the cast, is Mark Hamill as the Joker. I mean, that's one thing. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know everybody loves Heath Ledger, and I mean, like I said, rest in peace. I mean,
Mark Hamill is the Joker.
I mean, I love him.
He is the Joker.
But I mean, Mark Hamill, he's been the Joker since I was young, and I mean, and he's here recently. We found out about a year ago he's gonna do the film adaptation of The Killing Joke. Finally, after all these years, it's finally being put out. And he keeps saying that he's going to retire from the Joker, but if they ever did The Killing Joke, he'd come back. And hopefully this isn't his last time, but if it is, I know he's going to give it his all, and this is going to be, an awesome performance. And I'm really looking forward to it, but, I mean, golly, I mean, his performance as the Joker in the animated series, I mean, everybody if you don't know who Mark Hamill is, you know that voice. You know the Joker's voice for this cartoon. I mean, everybody, that I know about that loves this cartoon loves Mark Hamill as the Joker.
I'm crazy for it.
Yeah, I mean, I stand by that. I mean, I like this better than the two Tim Burton movies put together. I mean, I love a lot of elements of the Burton movies, like, no question. I love a ton of elements, but it's just like with this one, they took it so serious, and I wish I grew up with the show. Like, I'm like feeling so bad. Like,
like
I mean, I can go
guilt
back
to
and
not
we
watch
can go back and watch it,
Yeah, we'll
but it's
do
just
that.
like, I really wish that I would have been, a fan of this, like you were. I mean, this really blew me away with, the tone and the art and everything coming at me. Like, it was amazing. It was pretty much a trip seeing this for the first time with his age and who was intended for. It was kind of a trip, but I mean, I loved every second of this. I mean, even though it is kind of short, it still feels big. It feels theatrical. I mean, I'm glad it was released in theaters, even if it was a short time. It's like, man, I mean, Batman's an amazing character from what this is what
Very
I've learned.
complex, a lot of story to him.
Exactly, and I mean, they packed so much story into this.
There's so
and it's
many
just
great
like,
characters out there. Batman became popular for a reason. When you're a child and you're watching it, you're not really super aware that there's this deeper, realistic adult story to Batman. I mean, there really is, in every single animated anything of Batman. Some. It's not animated, but Adam West, that just simply didn't go deep at all. It went deep into comedy, but not anything. But anyway, everything other than that has been this just dark story about a troubled man.
Like, how I see it, especially, like, if you were somehow just introduced to Batman just through this movie.
This
or
would be
something.
a great adaptation.
This would
for
be the
somebody to
best.
watch. If you've
the
never
best.
seen anything Batman, any of those 13-year-olds out there, like if you don't know what Batman is, watch Mask of the Phantasm.
This is what Batman is. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I mean, if you're not a fan of Batman by the time, like, this is over, if you're like, oh, Batman, whatever, then you're just not ever gonna be. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That was our review on an amazing movie that I loved every second of. Go out and get it. Go out
check
and
it out.
watch
You
it
can
as
probably
soon as
find it in
possible.
$5 bin somewhere.
Especially
or
if you're a
rental.
Batman fan
I
and
mean,
you've never seen
don't
it.
rent it. Actually, go pick it up because I'm sure it's like $5. Go, you know, all that money you make, you know, you can spare $5 for the Mask of the Phantasm. Especially if you're a Batman fan, and if you're not a Batman fan, then it's a good way to be introduced to this film. That's what we've said like 6 times, but it's a really good way to be introduced. Check out more reviews and reactions from us. We thank you for all your support, all the recent subscribers, all the likes you've been dropping. You guys are absolutely amazing, everyone that's coming on this ride with us. So definitely check it out and let us know in the comments what you think of The Mask of the Phantasm or our review / our beautiful faces. So definitely check it out, let us know. Become a worst friend today, subscribe, like, and share, and you guys will be seeing us next time.
Thanks, guys.
Genuine thanks to all my new subscribers.
Oh, don't mind my home security system. Down, Rusty.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around. What? Meatloaf again? Oh, I had it for lunch.